Welcome back to Podcast V. I'm Goldstein, your unapologetic capitalist who thinks the free market built the modern world.
And I'm Sanya, your unapologetic lefty who thinks the free market mostly means free for the rich, expensive for everyone else.
Tonight's topic, left versus right, big government versus small government, rich job creators versus billionaire haters, socialism versus what I like to call reality.
Reality. You mean the reality where three guys in Silicon Valley have more money than whole countries, but a nurse working night shifts can't afford rent.
Great opening. Let's start with wealth. I'll keep it simple. Rich people are rich because they created value. They took risks, built companies, hired people. You don't get millions of jobs from angry tweets, you get them from capital.
And I'll keep it simple too. Nobody becomes a billionaire by working hard. People at Amazon warehouses work hard. People cleaning offices at 3 a.m. work hard. The billionaire just owns the system. He can be on a yacht while the workers pee in bottles to hit performance targets.
Sure, envy is also hard work. Look, you need capital to build factories, apps, infrastructure. If you punish success, you kill innovation. People won't build the next Tesla or Netflix if you tax them into the Stone Age.
Oh yes, the poor billionaires. Don't tax us or we stop inventing things. They don't even pay normal taxes. They hold stocks, borrow against them, park money in tax havens. Meanwhile, a teacher pays full income tax. That's not innovation, that's legalized cheating.
It's called using the rules smartly. You could buy stocks too, Sanya.
With which money? You need money to play that game. The rules are written by the people who already won.
Let's move to the state. My position? The state should be small. Protect property, provide courts, maybe basic infrastructure, and then get out of the way. Every extra regulation is friction. Every extra tax is a small theft.
There it is. Say it clearly, please.
Fine. Taxation is theft when it goes beyond basic services. If I work, take risks, build something, and the state grabs half of it to fund bloated bureaucracy and useless programs, yeah, that feels like robbery with paperwork.
Robbery? You drive on roads, right? You like not being robbed at gunpoint in the street? You enjoy not dying from dirty water. Hospitals, schools, fire departments, unemployment benefits during a crisis, that's not robbery, that's civilization.
I'm not against all taxes. I'm against a system where half the population pays in and half just receives and keeps voting for more free stuff.
That's such a fantasy. Most people on benefits would love to have a decent paying job, but the market you worship pays so little that they need welfare on top of full-time work. Companies privatize profit and socialize costs. The state picks up the broken people afterwards.
So your solution is what? Turn the whole country into one giant social program?
My solution is strong welfare state, health care for everyone, affordable housing, real workers' rights, unions with teeth. People should not be one illness or one layoff away from homelessness in the richest economies on Earth.
And who pays for your social paradise?
The same people who got disproportionately rich from the system, corporations and billionaires. Closed tax loopholes, global minimum corporate tax, serious wealth tax at the very top. If a guy can afford a private rocket, he can afford to pay more than a teacher.
And when he moves his company to another country, lays off workers, and takes his rocket with him?
Then maybe we finally learned that making a whole country dependent on 3 tech bros and 1 oil family was a stupid idea.
Let's talk markets versus regulation. I say the freer the market, the richer the society. Competition drives innovation and lowers prices. When governments try to plan economies, we get shortages, corruption, and lines for bread.
You always jump from regulation direct to Soviet Union. Nobody here is asking for Stalin with a spreadsheet. We're asking for rules so people aren't exploited to death.
History's pretty clear. Socialism fails. The USSR collapsed, Venezuela collapsed, Cuba's stuck in the 60s. Every time the state tries to run everything, it ends in poverty and police.
And modern capitalism never collapses? 2008 financial crisis, mass evictions, people losing pensions because some guys on Wall Street played casino with mortgage products. Completely unregulated markets end in disaster.
Notice that the 2008 crash came after governments pushed cheap credit, guaranteed banks they were too big to fail, and distorted incentives. That's not pure capitalism, that's crony capitalism.
Crony capitalism is not a bug. It's the system. Big companies always end up buying politicians, writing laws, crushing unions. Without strong regulation, the free market becomes a private dictatorship run by whoever has the biggest lobby.
And with strong regulation, you get bureaucrats with zero skin in the game making decisions for millions. At least in markets, failure is punished. In governments, failure gets a pension.
Tell that to banks that got bailed out, or to companies that polluted rivers, made billions, then paid a tiny fine. In your system, if you're rich enough, failure is just a PR problem.
Let's move to the culture war, since I know you're waiting for that.
Ugh, finally.
You want basically unlimited personal freedom, abortion on demand, gender transitions for teenagers, whatever lifestyle you like. But when someone wants economic freedom, low taxes, fewer regulations, suddenly you become very strict.
That's because there's a difference between what you do with your own body and what you do with other people's lives and wages. A billionaire hiding profits offshore hurts millions. Two men getting married hurts who exactly?
It hurts social cohesion, tradition, religious communities. You know, all the soft stuff that actually holds societies together.
Societies have always changed. Tradition once said women shouldn't vote, children should work in factories, and interracial marriage was against nature. Tradition is not automatically good. Human rights matter more.
Okay, let's ask something simple. Should the state pay for abortions with public money?
Yes, safe abortion is health care. If you ban or restrict it, rich women still get safe abortions, poor women don't. You don't reduce abortions, you just make them more dangerous.
Or, wild thought, people take responsibility, use contraception, and don't treat human life like a typo you can delete.
You love to talk about personal responsibility when it's poor single mothers, but when it's a billionaire dodging taxes, suddenly it's smart business strategy.
Because it is smart to legally pay less tax, and I don't trust the state to spend my money better than I do.
Yes, we have it, the fantasy. Every rich guy thinks he's a genius philanthropist, and every poor guy thinks he's a temporarily embarrassed billionaire.
Let's hit workers versus owners directly. I say, without entrepreneurs, there are no jobs. You can't redistribute what doesn't exist. Every worker is basically riding in a car the capitalist built.
And I say, without workers, the entrepreneur is just a guy with a PowerPoint. The people in warehouses, factories, hospitals, farms, they keep society alive. Billionaires could disappear tomorrow and most things would still run. If all nurses vanish tomorrow, society collapses in 24 hours.
Fine, nurses are heroes. Still, doesn't mean the guy who built a global company, coordinated millions of moving parts, took insane risks, should be treated like a criminal because he's rich.
I don't want him in prison for being rich. I want him to pay proper taxes, obey strong labor laws, recognize unions, and not manipulate politics. If after that he's still a billionaire, okay, good for him.
That sounds nice on paper. In reality, your strong laws end up ending small businesses that can't handle regulations written for giant corporations.
Then write smarter laws, different rules for a corner shop and a $5 trillion tech monopoly. But doing nothing is not an option.
Sometimes doing nothing is exactly the option. Markets adjust. Prices signal scarcity. If rents are high, you build more housing.
Unless investors prefer luxury apartments that stand empty while normal people sleep in cars. The market doesn't care if children grow up in motels. It only cares about profit.
Looks like we're not building a unity government tonight.
Good. The last thing I want is a fake, can't we all get along speech while people choose between food and paying electricity.
I'm just saying, every time your ideas were tried fully, nationalizing industries, price controls, huge welfare states with no limits, the bill came later. Debt, inflation, bankruptcy.
And every time your ideas were tried fully, total deregulation, union busting, zero safety net, you got child labor, poisoned rivers, sweatshops, and oligarchs.
So what, you want eternal class war?
No, I want a system where the economy serves people, not people serving the economy, where workers have power and the ultra-rich don't own every politician.
And I want a system where ambition is rewarded, not punished, where the state is referee, not player, not owner.
Congratulations, we both want a utopia that the other one would call a nightmare.
At least we're honest about it.
And at least we're fighting with words, not with guns.
For now.
Relax, capitalist. Nobody is seizing your microphone. Yet.
This was Podcast V, the show where you either pick a side or hate both of us equally.
If you're left, right, center, or totally lost, tell us in the comments who you think is more delusional, Goldstein, the market fanboy, or Sanya, the socialist menace.
See you in the next episode.
Unless the revolution comes first.